Yes, this is my bike. It's a vintage Fuji. I got it this summer, and I've been loving it so far. And something that caught my eye, I think the one thing I really liked was the brake pedal or the brake levers on the front here too. So that was kind of like what pushed me over the edge, and I think the yellow brake lines. But apart from that, it's just something I needed and something that was like right within my budget and all that. Well, I've been biking since I was like 6 years old. Now as an adult, I've been biking more to commute. So it's been on and off. I sort of resurged back into biking maybe like 2 years ago, a little more actively. They had a bike stolen, kind of put me down, but I was like, I got to maintain that momentum. So we'll see how long this phase of commuting on biking lasts. Well, it does take trips to the grocery store with me as much as I can. So mainly to commute, but also to ride to, get around and to just exercise, have fun. So it's kind of my wheels at the moment. My car is transmission might be shot. So this looks like it might be my wheels for the foreseeable future. Well, like for example, going to work, it takes me about roughly the same amount of time. I get the added benefit of having to work out. It's like a great way to wake up. And I just kind of like the ease of it. You can get places really quickly. You can, move around fast, just get where you need to go, nooks and crannies. And it's a different way to see the city. To me, it's a wonderful way to sort of explore. And when I travel to new cities, I try to rent a bike because you get a whole different feel for the city. You get smells and, gets a little dangerous and, get your heart pumping. So all those things. Well, I think less humans driving would be it, but that's probably not improbable. More bike infrastructure, but sometimes I feel like some of the bike infrastructure isn't as safe as it is like it's intended to be. A plastic bollard with a car coming at it is nothing, and I can sort of see when they, like for example on Damon and Pilsen, they installed a whole bunch under the viaduct. And I remember when they were all up in U, and I was like, we'll see how long they last till some of these start breaking down. And within a month, you can start seeing dings and dungs. Some are missing here and there. And it's, and even the concrete ones, I think there should be a more separate space but sometimes it's kind of like, the city's a car-centric infrastructure, and it's hard to undo a lot of that. But I feel like we have the capacity to do so. It's just a lot of red tape, I feel like the emotions run high with people who bike and commuters and cars, and it's like kind of in the middle. Some bikers can be rude, and cars are always, I feel like, a little bit more than others. And sometimes I feel like some bicyclists kind of push the edge a little bit. And I always maintain like, I'm not going to argue or like try to impose myself as if I'm a car, because sometimes you see, especially like on Milwaukee, for example, some bikers are on the lakefront path, like we said, it's a shared space. So being cognizant of others while doing that. So what I've noticed now that I've been commuting, I've been avoiding the most optimal route, so to speak, just because that's usually like on a busy road. So I take like windy roads, and sometimes it might take me a little bit longer, but the way I look at it is the less interaction I get with cars just reduces the chance of me getting into an accident or anything like that. So, I was telling somebody, they're like, why don't you just take Archer to Halstead and just go down? And I was just like, one day let's do that. And Archer is a very treacherous road. It's like a highway. And, I feel like people with distracted driving is just like, it's just like compounds the propensity for you to get injured. So, I don't know. It's hard to say. Cause I feel like sometimes I can be my own worst enemy because I'm, a little bit of a thrill seeker, a little adrenaline junkie. So I sometimes push the envelope too. So maybe just being a little bit more cautious. You got your headphones in, you're flying. Sometimes it just gets the best of you. But today I didn't wear my helmet, but for the most part I always wear my helmet. And I think just more awareness from drivers for the most part. And some bikers too. If you got no lights, it's hard to see you too. So being aware that it's a two-way street. I ride a motorcycle, so I always put that in practice too. Where I always try to make eye contact. Like I don't just judge that somebody is coming to a stop that they're going to stop. Like you need to make visual eye contact with me. So that's kind of what it is too. So given that whole infrastructure thing, and part of me is such a cynic that I probably won't believe that it will ever happen to like have the most optimal, the city loves touting how they have all this miles of bike lanes. And but I think more I just kind of wish there were some roads where there was no cars at all. That would be awesome. Well, yeah, a lot of it is just being on your cell phone. And we're just distracted by so many other things. And driving is an inherently, and part of it also becomes like a like a habit where you might go the same route every day, and you kind of make that conscious turn onto your block. And every other time, you know, sometimes you may not look because there's nobody ever there. And then that one instance where somebody might be there is where, you know, so that's why driving, it can be very easy to like just become a habit, and you can kind of be lax. So like I said to my little brother who just started driving, I'm like, you need to just kind of like, you think you know how to drive, but like you still like, it's a constant, consistent learning and growing experience. So just put the cell phones down, you know, that's all it is, or get a damn mount. Like, you know, it's hard though, because sometimes it's like we're all addicted to our phones. It's just the way society is. But it's just amazing to see people like, and it's so much like, I saw a bus driver today run the red light, and then we started looking at a cell phone. And it's like a school bus driver too. I don't know if there was any kids on there, but it's like, and I'm not the one to be shy to call somebody out too. And, you know, like, hey, look up, you know, and a lot of that's what it is. Just some people to be aware, look up. Because when you tell, I've several times yelled, hey, look, and then like, just that look in their eye, because they're just like in la la land on their phone. So I don't know how to fix that. And then like I was reading on Reddit somebody, and they were like, I get the great satisfaction of flying down a row of cars that are just sitting in traffic. And lately I've been thinking of that too. And it's just like part of me where like started like realizing that was like the smog that I was encountering. But then it's like, in addition to like it being a great workout, being eco-friendly, then like environmentally friendly too. Like that's just like a whole nother realm that it's like everything is geared towards driving and cars. And it's like, I've lately been realizing when I did drive and like coming back home, traffic can be so miserable. And if you have a bad day, like it's just like the worst way to end your day. And I can't imagine like anybody else who, like my commute for the most part was relatively easily, maybe like 30 minutes or so, but it's such a like, to me it's getting like stressful to just be in traffic. And I feel like drivers are a little more emboldened, and like cops are a little more lax with their enforcement. And like it's just a lot more reckless drivers, because they're just kind of like, you know, they're not being held accountable to their stuff, to their bad driving. And also I think getting a driver's license in the United States and in Chicago in general is just a very general, easy task. In other parts of the world, for example, my cousin, I'm Palestinian. I remember my cousin was telling me when he was trying to undergo the driving, getting a license, it was like a very costly endeavor. It's also, you have to do the test and stick shift. And like when I took my test here, it was like 5 minutes tops. And it's like, how can you really measure somebody's driving capacity like that? And his test was like 45 minutes. And I had an Uber driver from Ukraine tell me the same thing. He's like, in my country, it's very hard to get the driver's license. Here it's very easy. And it's like, that's so true. It kind of feels like anybody can get a license. And I feel like, you know, as we have to get older and renew our license, I feel like when we take a written test, maybe you should do a little dust up on your driving test. And, you know, I think that would help solve it a little bit. But yeah, I would say be aware, be confident in yourself, and be wary of drivers. Use your Google Maps or some sort of GPS to tell you your most optimal route, and then try to look at some side roads to take. You know, and part of the biking is like you can explore different routes. That's what's kind of cool about it. You can go down a one way on a lot of streets that in a car you can't. So you get to, you know, see different things and find what's best for you. Obviously be safe, wear a helmet. And, but I think a large part of that is just be confident in yourself, and just like, you know, it's hard to be so weary of everything in life, and you know, things are going to happen. If it happens, it happens. But like, to live your life just being afraid that something's going to happen, it's going to hold you back. And I feel like once you get to really explore the city on the bike, you know, the lakefront, you really get to fall in love with the city and biking. And it's just like a constant love that keeps growing, because you get to see all these little nooks and crannies. And you know, sometimes you go the same route several times and you just like notice different things that you didn't last time, because sometimes you're just so focused. So that's what's cool about it. And you know, changing it up, like some days, you know, if you're commuting 3 days a week, you know, maybe go for a leisurely ride, you know, hit the lakefront path, do something that a little bit different where you're not necessarily commuting, and just like kind of cruise around and chill. I think that's the beauty of it. You know, you can take your bike on the train, on the bus. It doesn't get any better than that. Also, get a good lock too.
Thanks for watching that interview. Subscribe to see more conversations with Chicagoans biking around their city, dropping every other week.